So, Melanie, when I watched this movie the first time, I haven't read the book. So I was coming to this cold. I was totally confused. And I started to make a list of questions and I gave up because there were too many. I could not connect the dots between that's true. I couldn't connect the dots. And so the second time I watched it, I again started to make questions. And I had a half a page of questions before we were even 5 minutes into the movie of things that I couldn't understand. How does this connect to that? Why is this significance? Who is this person? All of the things that, I mean, you just connected the dots for me because you've read the book. So there were a lot of light bulb moments for me as I was listening to you. And in the ending, I'm not surprised that you said this is a trilogy and that, no other movies were made, because it ends feeling like there's another movie coming. Like, I think back to the movie Dune that we did, and I can't remember which season that was in, but that ended like another movie was coming. But in that case, we knew, yes, another movie was coming. They came out and said, this is like just the first part. So we weren't expecting a complete story from beginning to end. And they made that very clear from the outset. I had the same feeling with the Golden Compass, but they didn't make it clear that the rest of the story would be coming later. So when the movie ended, I went, well, where's the rest of it? Like, that's it? It's done? But I have questions. Where's Lord Asriel? What happened to him, for example? Anyway, yeah, so I'm really glad that you had read the book, because you just filled in a lot of blanks for me.
And you can make a lot of sense. Well, you can make more sense from the movie if you have read the book, because things like the Magisterium, dust, what Lyra's role in that means, why the Magisterium don't want the alethiometer, all of those things make more sense if you've read the book, because there's scope and time for Philip Pullman to build the world and establish all of those things. But the relationships between Mrs. Coulter, Lord Asriel, and Lyra are also very different. So there's a cruelty about Mrs. Coulter, which we see, but also Lord Asriel. And that really comes into fruition at the end of the movie, because they actually get together again at the end of the movie, and they're Lyra's parents.
At the end of the movie or at the end of the book?
Sorry, at the end of the book. At the end of the book, they get together again, and then Lord Asriel kills Roger and opens up this hole in the sky, which then, you understand what's going on when you've read the book and you see the movie. And so when I say it's abridged and it's been softened, it really has. The book is much, much better than the movie, and it's disappointing because it is a really lovely story. And I believe that a series has been made just recently out of all three movies. So there is a series that is the Golden Compass. I think it was made a couple of years ago, and that got much better reviews than the movie, because they would have had time to develop all of those things that, that we've probably picked up on in terms of that would help you understand the story, objects of desire, all of those things, right? It would just have more scope to do that. I just haven't seen the series.
All of the stuff I'm about to talk about. So when you say the film makes more sense if you've read the book, it shouldn't. You should be able to come to the film cold. How many people, okay, so you and I are readers. The people listening to this podcast are readers. We have a little bias in that we usually think the book is better anyway, often, although there have been some exceptions, I have to admit. But we have a bias in favor of the novel. Fair enough. However, there's lots of people in my life, and I'm sure you know lots of people too, Melanie, who will say, when I recommend a book to them, they'll say, thanks, I'll wait for the movie. Right? So if you're going to do a novel to film translation, whoever comes to the film cold has to be able to understand the film without having read the book. That's one of the things that makes an adaptation successful.